are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 Podcast. Today, it is March 4th, 2022. On today's show, we're going to look at the Big 12 players that are in the 2022 NFL Combine. We already have some results. We'll look at those, but do a bigger dive on Monday. But just want to talk about the Combine, the guys who are there, and really about the lack of Big 12 players at the top that we're seeing of a lot of draft boards. Yes, look at some guys that are going to go high, but not enough guys for the conference, and so we'll discuss those things. Also, we are going to hit on the Big 12 slate of games this weekend. It is the final Saturday in regular season play. Every team has one game remaining after the Kansas TCU game last night, so we'll preview the full slate of games this weekend. Busy show. All right, so let's get into it now. NFL Scouting Combine is going on right now in Indianapolis. Next week, we're going to be talking to my friend Zach Berman of U Stadium. He is there, and I told him to keep a special eye on some of the Big 12 guys for us. But really, I want to start this conversation with, as we turn our attention now to the NFL draft, Vinny Iyer over at Sporting News did a 2-round mock draft. And not to say, he is the preeminent draft expert, but I wanted to find a 2-round mock so we could look and see what some experts, once again, this is not set in stone, but what some experts think we can expect in terms of Big 12 players being drafted. And the first round for him, you can go check this out. This NFL 2-round mock is a few days old. But the first Big 12 player he's got getting drafted is Perrian Winfrey. So he's got Perrian Winfrey from Oklahoma being drafted. Let me see exactly where he's got him. Perrian Winfrey at 43 to the Atlanta Falcons. And then you go down the rest of the way, you really just don't see any Big 12 talent. Sure, Jalen Petrie might be there in that mid to late second round. I definitely think he's a player of that caliber. Nick Bonito, another player from that front. But those are the three players that he's got right now from the Big 12 Conference going in the first 64 picks of the NFL draft. And with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, we really just hope those things begin to change. It's nice to see that there's a good amount of players. Cincinnati has got some guys up there. I saw a player from Houston, I believe, up there. So hopefully those schools can come in and help and contribute. But off the top, when you're talking about Big 12 players getting drafted, there's 35 guys in the Big 12 who are at the NFL Draft Combine. And we're not talking about any of them as top-tier guys, as even late first-round guys. My opinion that Breese Hall is the best running back. Will somebody take him in that spot? I don't know. I think Perrian Winfrey is the guy because of the Senior Bowl that he had that could play him, or if he has a nice combine, can get himself into the first round maybe, but it really does not feel like it's going to be a Big 12 player that we're going to see in the first round. And obviously, once the draft happens, that might confirm it. And also for the long-term health of the Big 12, well, seeing that it's not going to be a guy most likely from one of the remaining Big 12 schools is can be a bit concerning. And also, it feels like with the amount of talent Texas is accumulating right now, that they are going to be able to put some guys on the hopefully the offensive and defensive lines into the league. But Texas had a player development issue for a long time. Until we see it actually manifest itself, we just have to keep, assuming that their talent, is not there. And Tom Herman got a lot of talent, did not develop them through. We'll see if Steve Sarkisian can develop that talent. He definitely has it. They've got it in bunches and bunches, but can he get them through? Can they break through? Can they get to the league and be top-tier draft picks? We will see. All right, I'm going to go through all the players from the Big 12 schools so you guys all know who we're watching this week and have been watching already. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Run Your Pool. If you guys are interested in running your bracket pool this year, Run Your Pool is the best way to do it. You're not going for the usual. You're going for the best. We've done our homework, and we're here to tell you that runyourpool.com is the best place to do it. Along with standard brackets, Run Your Pool offers game types like Survivor or Pick X, both really fun kind of in their own way. They have options to edit scoring. They offer more intel to make your picks, all the stuff that you won't find at ESPN or CBS. If you've got a business, Run Your Pool can help you take some of that madness magic and play alongside your employees, or even gain some customers. So go to runyourpool.com/lockedon, enter the code Pure Madness. That's PUREMADNESS, Pure Madness. Get $10 off when you start at Run Your Pool. All right, 35 players from the Big 12 are in the scouting combine. Nice representation from Baylor, who's got Kalen Barnes as a defensive back, Jalen Petrie as a defensive back, and JT Woods as a defensive back. Also on defense, linebacker Terrell Bernard, running backs Treston Ebner, and also he's going to be a special teamer. You know, that's a guy that could be a game breaker on special teams. And running back Abram Smith. It's cool to see those two guys as skill position players there. And also Taekwon Thornton. Dear Lord, not sure if you all saw what a night he had on Friday night, running a 4-2-1, which I believe they did confirm it, to beat John Ross and to set the record for the fastest 40-yard combine. You already seen articles. Who is Taekwon Thornton? Meet the wide receiver who threatened to break the NFL combine record. Now, they confirmed it at a 4.28, so it was bumped to a 4.28. I think John Ross, his 40 time was a 4.22. Then they clocked him at a 4.21, so he threatened to break it, but he did not. But still, 4.28 is absolutely blazing speed for Taekwon Thornton. So amazing stuff to see him run that fast. And I'm watching him. I'm going to be watching Abram Smith. I think Abram Smith's interesting to NFL scouts because of the limited time he's playing running back. Or he has played running back, I should say. So there's a lot of untapped potential there. Also, limited hits. Now, you can say, well, he did play linebacker. But yeah, there's a reason why he converted over to running back. It's because the linebacker thing, was not going as well. It's the guy, in the college ranks who really only has, 56 total tackles in his college career. So the fact that Taekwon Thornton, Abram Smith goes and makes the change to running back, and then you see him now, he's a guy that got 257 attempts this year for 1,600 yards and 12 scores. He's going to have to develop that receiving part of his game, but as a pure running back, I'm interested to see what the scouts think of him and how he does this week. Very good athlete. Abram Smith is at 5'11", 221, so a big kid. And then also, I want to see Terrell Bernard, right? Such a good player in the Big 12. And we already saw Jalen Petrie explode and have his moments at the Senior Bowl. I want to see what Terrell Bernard can do and if he can impress the scouts. Next up, we've got Iowa State on the docket. They send 6 players, which was expected. We knew they'd have a good representation considering how many quality older guys they had. Tight ends Chase Allen and Charlie Kolar, along with quarterback Brock Purdy. Running back Breese Hall. Also, on the defensive end, they're going to get Mike Rose. And then Uwazurike at defensive line is representing the Cyclones there as well. I've got my eye on Chase Allen. We all know how good Charlie Kolar is. He is a big man, and he ran a good time yesterday and looked pretty athletic. And then, so I want to see, can Chase Allen kind of be a guy that shows out pretty well? Because it's not a deep tight end class. Maybe he can add to it. And then also Brock Purdy, right? Can he position himself to go in the later rounds and to be a quarterback? Because I think we all talked about early in his career the level of talent that we know Brock Purdy has, and really never felt like he lived up to that standard that he set earlier on. Well, he's going to have a chance here at this scouting combine to make a good accounting of himself, to be a later guy, and then I think he's going to have a career as a backup, hopefully, and maybe even get in the starter, and we'll see if he can develop himself down the line. Next up, Kansas State. They send one player. It's Skylar Thompson. I think a lot of the questions here, and we talked about this, I did a Skylar Thompson appreciation episode. He's older. He is very mature. This is somebody that, am I positive he's going to get drafted? No, but if he does, it's going to be late, and it's going to be in the same capacity as a Sam Ellinger. Sam Ellinger is somebody that was beloved by teammates, that is known to be a very strong leader. And with that strong leadership, it's just something you can depend on. Dependability is key for backups. Sure, quality might be lacking there, yes. And I'm not sure how Skylar Thompson's game translates, but somebody that you know what he brings to you, that kind of gives you some options because he can run the ball. Somebody that, has got tons of experience, not at the NFL level, but I think this is somebody that can be a decent backup, quality locker room guy that people like. And when he comes into the game, there's a belief in him because he's got that likability around. Natural leadership as well. Keep making sure that if he's called into a certain situation, nobody's freaking out because we know this, we trust this guy. This guy has built it up. Like if Sam Ellinger is thrown into the game, sure, maybe playing abilities, you don't trust him. But I think as a teammate, as a person, you know the kind of kid, the kind of fellow, the kind of guy you're getting. And that's got a value, I think. So maybe limited skill set, maybe limited, pro skill set as we see it right now, but definitely somebody as a player and as a leader, you know what he brings to the table. He brings so much value in that experience. Next, we have Oklahoma, who unsurprisingly bring the most players from the Big 12 with 11 to the Combine. So on the defensive side, they're going to bring Brian Asamoah. At linebacker, they bring Nick Benito on the defensive line, as well as Isaiah Thomas and Perrian Winfrey. Defensive back, they're going to bring Delarian Turner-Yell. On the offensive side, Gabe Burkich as a kicker. Kennedy Brooks is going to play, he's a running back, obviously. Jeremiah Hall, the H-back baby, is going to be there on the offensive line. It's going to be Marquise Hayes, Tyrese Robinson, and Mike Woods at wide receiver, who made a really nice snag yesterday in the Combine. Perrian Winfrey, let's just see if he can keep kind of hitting this scouting circuit well and boost himself up. I think a lot of people also are curious to see what Brian Asamoah does. This is a guy that I think a lot of people feel like, in terms of an NFL translation, this guy just translates better to the pro game. So I want to see. But Oklahoma, once again, unsurprisingly, with the most Big 12 representation there, 11 guys. And I miscounted earlier. It's 36 total, I believe, at this point, that they're going to be bringing total, the Big 12. Oklahoma State brings 3. It's Colby Harvell-Peel, Malcolm Rodriguez, and Jalen Warren. So defensive back, safety, and Colby Harvell-Peel. Malcolm Rodriguez and Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren's got a lot of wear and tear on him, so we'll see what they think, because it feels like he slowed down the stretch. We'll see what he tests physical-wise. I'm not expecting him to be too explosive. Malcolm Rodriguez, I just want to see, if he can show scouts, he's just somebody that leaps off the tape, but maybe he's not going to leap off the testing numbers. So I want to see with that, what they do. I'm a pretty big Colby Harvell-Peel guy, so I think it's going to be kind of standard stuff. As far as he is considered. All right, going down the list, TCU just brings 1. It's Obina Eze, offensive lineman, so just 1 there. Texas brings 2. Cameron Dicker and Josh Thompson. I think we're going to see more special teamers like Cameron Dicker into the league. Texas Tech, 3 players. Dawson Deaton on the offensive line, Eric Ezenkama, and DeMarcus Fields. Eric Ezenkama, man, this is a guy who caught passes from a lot of different quarterbacks and was still effective. He is a big guy. He's got a good frame. I think this is somebody that's going to succeed at the next level. I think Ezenkama has really productive NFL wide receiver written all over him, just with the way he was able to. I know the offenses were always conducive to it, but he always stepped up and was able to make big plays no matter who was throwing him the football. And then West Virginia brings 1 player as well, Letty Brown. Love the fact that he was a horse in college. Once again, worries with the carry numbers. But this is a guy that you can just give the ball to and feel really good about. You think about that production kind of game in and game out at West Virginia. Guy was a horse for multiple years. You know what you're getting. Not a huge guy, 5'11", 216, decent size. But, 91 carries in 18, 107 in 19, 199 in 20, 223 in 2021, and he had 2,000-yard seasons. Just got better and better and better as time went on. More dependable, and also a guy who could catch the ball out of the backfield and make plays too. So, maybe not much more potential for him there, but a finished product and a decent player is what you're getting in Letty Brown. So those are all the Big 12 players that will be in the NFL Combine. We'll take a look back once the week is over on those guys and see how they did. Now we're going to look ahead, and we are going to look at this weekend's Big 12 basketball slate and preview that. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline and BetOnline.net. When you guys go to BetOnline, you can find the best odds for football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer. They got futures there as well. Vegas casino games, Olympic sports. Even the Olympics are over. I'm sure they've got, curling odds when curling comes back around once again. Anything you want to get in on the action on, they've got there. So go to BetOnline and BetOnline.net. Today, BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, so Saturday in the Big 12, we hit the final regular season games. Now, it's interesting right now. Last night, we had TCU fall in a really competitive, close game to Kansas. And I have not done a show since TCU's first win just because I've been out of the country. So I've been, doing various things, enjoying the sun here in the Dominican Republic with my family. But I want to let you all know that, when I think about, what happened on Tuesday, just give TCU their props. And last night, too. They'd never won in Allen Fieldhouse, and they had a shot there at the end. Not sure why Mike Miles went for a layup when he clearly should have been shooting a three. But, this TCU getting that win on Tuesday night basically booked them a ticket. On Saturday, they got a tough game against West Virginia, which we'll get to. But this was a season where many felt they had to make the NCAA tournament to kind of make sure this Jamie Dixon experiment, not really experiment, but the Jamie Dixon experience is worth it. Make sure the Jamie Dixon reign, is something that is on the right track. And it is. They had a rough patch in the middle, but they get to 19-10. Right now, they would be the 5 seed, if the Big 12 tournament started today. So a really nice season from Jamie Dixon's group after bringing in a lot of new players. The big story is they're basically in. If they can just split these last two, there's no worries. Even if they lose both their last two, I think they're going to be in a fine condition. But a win against West Virginia on Saturday would certainly basically all but seal that up for them. And I don't think they want to go into the tournament on a 3-game losing streak. The big story here is the Big 12 title is still up for grabs. And also TCU, while they pushed Kansas to the brink last night, if Kansas loses that game, Baylor just needs a win, and they're your regular season Big 12 champions. As far as the actual, the title itself goes, if both of them win, they will share the 2022 Big 12 title. We had shared titles, last two of them, where in Kansas State and Texas Tech shared back in 2019. And then in 2013, Kansas and Kansas State shared one. Baylor would win a share of the Big 12 championship, as would Kansas, if both were to win. Now, the way the tiebreak works for the number 1 seed in the Big 12 tournament, you go down the line of teams in the standings. So whoever finishes third, that's going to be Texas Tech. You look at their records, Baylor and Kansas's records against them. Kansas is 1-1. Baylor is 0-2. Texas Tech swept Baylor. If you guys remember, they played earlier in the year at Baylor, and Baylor got a win at the Farrell Center. Baylor lost, that game. So 0-2 for Baylor against Texas Tech, and then 1-1. Now, Kansas did almost get swept by Texas Tech. Ochai Agbaji to the rescue in that game where he was just absolutely bananas. Amazing double overtime game. That will get KU the number 1 overall seed in the Big 12 basketball tournament if these two teams were to finish tied. Now, obviously, there is still business to take care of on Saturday. So as I say that, let's take a look at this weekend's Big 12 slate. At 2 p.m. Eastern time, so 1 Central on ESPN+, it's West Virginia, 14-16, 3-14 in the Big 12, hosting TCU, who is 19-10, and 8-9 in the Big 12. It's a chance for TCU to get to 500 in conference and get that 20-win benchmark in the regular season, which would be a great accomplishment and show progress for them from last season to this season. So West Virginia, they've just been downhill. It's so hard to pick them to win any basketball game at this moment in time. They've lost, at this point, I think it's 8 straight is what they're looking at right now. 7 straight right now. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight. They have not won since a home game against Iowa State, and they were on a separate 7-game losing streak as well before that. So West Virginia really just has been so challenged in the Big 12 Conference getting wins this year. I think that continues just to a lack of depth. I know I normally pick the home teams, but I feel like TCU in this one, they're playing so well right now. Even that loss last night, kind of on a mission. All right, 2 o'clock Central Time, also on ESPN Plus, is number 12 Texas Tech, who are 23-7, 12-5 in the Big 12 Conference, going on the road to Gallagher-Iber Arena to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who are 14-15, 7-10 in the Big 12, but still feels like the least disappointing 14-15 that you could find, considering the circumstances, considering the conference that they played, and this team has elevated their play, and I think they love to end their season with an upset. So I think that's going to be, and this is Oklahoma State Super Bowl. I mean, they got a chance to pick off a top 15 team at home to end their season because they will not be in the Big 12 basketball tournament next week. So I'm expecting a really close matchup there. We'll see if Kevin McCullough looks like he's good enough to go and to start, because getting him healthy is key for Texas Tech right now. At 3 p.m. Central Time on ESPN, this is the big one on the slate on Saturday. Number 21 Texas, who are 21-9, 10-7 in the Big 12, and then it is Kansas hosting them. Kansas, as we know, 24-6, number 6 in the country, 13-4 in the Big 12, and need a win to keep their Big 12 title hopes alive. Or obviously, if they were to lose, a Baylor loss would need to come along with that. So this is an interesting game because I think at times Texas has looked really sharp as of late, and there have been times where Texas has looked not so sharp as of late. They are a Jekyll and Hyde group, really have not put it fully together, have remained in that back half of the top 25, still 10-7 in the conference. Chris Beard's good year, or Chris Beard's first year. I think it's still pretty decent. I think it's still, we consider a semi-successful year. But Kansas at home, I know they've allowed teams like TCU to play them close there at home. I think KU takes care of business in this game. I think they know they have to continue to play better basketball because they have not been great as of late. I mean, they almost lost 3 straight games. And Bill Self usually rarely loses 2 in a row, almost lost 3 straight. Need to get back on track here and start playing better basketball. And they need to show their defense. Their defense needs to somewhat try to, match the quality of Texas, because we know how good of a defensive group Texas can be. All right, at 3 o'clock Central Time on ESPN Plus, it's Oklahoma 16-14, 6-11 in the Big 12 at Kansas State 14-15, 6-11 in the Big 12. Look, if OU wants to keep any hope of making the tournament without winning the Big 12 outright, which I think they probably have to do, they've got to win this game. That's kind of the big story on this. And then Bruce Weber's final stand, it feels like, continues. I think Kansas State, though, on senior night, gets a win here. 5 o'clock on ESPN2, Iowa State, who just got trounced. They're 20-10, 7-10 in the Big 12. Absolutely getting trounced at home, and just a horrible offensive performance along with great defense from Oklahoma State. They go to Baylor. Baylor is 25-5, number 3 in the country, and 13-4 in the Big 12. Senior night for them as well. I think this thing goes one way. I think it goes Baylor's way. I think Baylor is just on fire right now with how well they're playing, how this small group is coming together. They've had a nice little break, it feels like, right? The last time they played was Monday. So they're getting from Monday night all the way until Saturday night off as a break. I think that's going to do the Bears a lot of good. They'll be well rested. They'll be ready to go. And so I think, you're seeing these breaks while they're playing really well. The big thing for Baylor is staying healthy, keeping the small group healthy. So while you might want to stay hot, for them, I disagree. I think it's all about, you want to stay hot, yes, obviously. But it's all about staying, in one piece, because if they lose one more guy, if they lose somebody out of the group of Akinjo and Thamba and Flagler and Meyer and Sohan, I mean, if they even lose Bonner at this point in time, if they were to lose any of those guys, they would be in really rough shape. I mean, if they were to lose Akinjo, Bonner, Kendall Brown, Flagler, any of those guys, Meyer, Sohan, like they would be in really rough position as they head down into the Big 12 tournament. So hoping that they can, in the NCAA tournament, so hoping that they can stay healthy. That's the big thing for them, but I still think they're going to be in fine condition. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at @JoshNeighbors_. And then you guys also can find the show on YouTube. We'll be back with videos next week. Make sure you check us out wherever you guys get your podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube, all those nice things. Everyone enjoy your weekend. Till next time, as always, stay safe.